Welcome back, students. In this module, we shall discuss how the life came into existence. Earlier, it was thought that life came into existence from non-living substances of the primitive earth or the primordial earth about 4 million years ago. This is also called as protobiogenesis. That is, protos means first, bio is life, genesis means formation. That is, formation of first life. From the ancient days, many thinkers, philosophers, scientists have been providing many theories, that is, putting forth their views about the origin of life on the earth in the form of hypothesis. So, what is hypothesis? Any ideas, as I told you, or any theories which are explained based on some of the known facts, but they are not proved. Okay, so such theories are called as hypothesis. So we'll discuss some of such theories or hypotheses which are given by many different ancient scientists. So here we'll be studying about the theory of special creation, cosmozoic theory, spontaneous generation or abiogenesis, and then biogenesis. So first one, the theory of special creation. So as the name says here, special creation. So this theory of special creation, it is the oldest theory which is explained, and it is proposed by a Spanish monk, Father Suarez. So according to this theory, all the living beings on the earth were created by God or by some supernatural power. So that is nothing but the creator or the God. Okay. So according to this theory, all different kinds of life were created in the same form as they are present today. So it is said that suddenly the life came, a special creation. So it was created by some superpower in the same manner as we are seeing today. Okay, so but this theory of special creation, it is purely a religious concept, and it was supported by many religions and civilizations also. So you might have studied or you might have heard, generally according to Bible, it is said that Adam and Eve were the first human beings to be formed, to be created. So according to Bible, it is actually believed that the whole of this universe came into existence in just 6 days. One day universe was formed, the next day earth came into existence, the next day oxygen, water, all other chemicals, then the next day living forms, then one day human beings. So this is believed. Then according to Hindu mythology, if you take, Brahma is the creator of everything, universe. Then Manu and Shraddha were the first human beings to be formed. So this is purely on the basis of faith. Okay, so there is no scientific evidence, it is accepted only on the basis of faith, that is by different religions. Okay, so there is no general acceptance of this theory. Now let us see what is this cosmozoic theory or theory of panspermia. This cosmozoic theory, students, it was proposed by Richter in 1865 and supported by another scientist, Arrhenius, in 1908. According to this theory, life on the earth came from a distant planet in the form of spores, small spores or microorganisms. And these spores were also called as cosmozoa. Cosmozoa means something life of outer space. Zoa means, life. Cosmo is from the outer space. Or it was also called as panspermia. Pans means many, Sperma means seeds. So panspermia is many small seed-like structures from the outer space. Hence, this theory is also called as theory of panspermia. Okay, so according to this theory, it is believed that small structures called as the meteorites. Now, what are these meteorites? Meteorites are the what I can tell, they are rocks which are falling from the outer space. So it is believed that meteorites, they broke, it is the meteorites, they broke into smaller pieces of rocks. Okay, they are nothing but rocks which broke into still smaller pieces, and these smaller pieces were called as the cosmozoa. Okay, that is the life from outer space. So they were called as cosmozoa, or they were also called as the spores or microorganisms. And it is said that these spores or the cosmozoa, they started falling on the earth. Okay, so now finding fertile soil on the earth, they started to develop, they grew, and then they slowly evolved into various creatures. So this is how various living organisms came into existence. Okay, so this theory was called as the cosmozoic theory. So you have studied the theory of special creation, then the theory of cosmozoa. Next, let us see what is the theory of spontaneous generation or the theory of abiogenesis. This is also known as the theory of autobiogenesis, where auto is self, bio is life, and genesis is formation. That means living organisms, it is said that life came by itself. Okay, so this theory of spontaneous generation was proposed and it was supported by many early Greek philosophers like Aristotle, Plato, Anaximander, John Ray, von Helmont, etc. So, according to this theory, life originated from non living material spontaneously. Remember, suddenly from the non living things, the life came into existence. This was what believed. For instance, it was believed that mud gave rise to frogs. You can see frogs where they are present on the moist soil, right? So earlier they thought that the moist soil itself, it suddenly gave rise to the frogs. Then another scientist, as I told you, von Helmont, so he said that dirty shirts or dirty clothes or the sweaty clothes of human beings, if it is kept for many days along with the wheat grains, it suddenly gave rise to the mice. Okay, so many such instances have been given. Then it was believed that life came from the decaying matter or also the rotting matter. Then it was also said that dust, it gave rise to the flies. Then the rotting meat gave rise to the maggots. You know what are maggots? Maggots are the small larvae, soft bodied, which do not have legs. You might have seen they are present on the decaying things. If you keep fruits, vegetables for many days, and if you see in that, you can see small soft larval structures are arising. They are called as the maggots. Okay, then it was believed that the wheat grains, if kept in the dark, they gave rise to the mice. So these were all, they didn't have any experimental evidences, so it was just belief. Okay, so this theory later by Louis Pasteur, it was disproved. So he disproved this theory of spontaneous generation But he explained that life originated from only the pre existing life. What is this? He said that life originates from pre existing life. So, this he called it to be biogenesis. Bio is life, genesis is formation. So, he said that life is formed from the life itself. Okay, so this was about the theory of spontaneous generation. Students, now let us see what is this theory of biogenesis. Many scientists like Francisco Redi, Spallanzani, Louis Pasteur, they disproved this theory of abiogenesis and supported the theory of biogenesis by experimental evidences. They showed that abiogenesis had no scientific proof. Okay, so they proved biogenesis by conducting many different experiments. So, students, the theory of biogenesis says that living organisms are produced from pre existing living forms and not from the non living or the lifeless matter. But one disadvantage or the drawback of this biogenesis is that it could not explain the origin of first life on the earth. What they are telling here is that living organisms are produced from pre existing life. That is, from one cell arises from the present cell itself, the one which is present. But where did that cell come from? Where did that life actually come from? That no one could explain. Okay, so that was the drawback of this theory. So they could only explain the continuity of life, but not how actually the first life came from. Okay, so as I told you, many experiments were conducted. One such experiment was conducted by Louis Pasteur with the help of a swan-necked flask which he used for his experiment. Let us see what is that experiment. Louis Pasteur actually took a round bottomed flask with a long neck. Then inside this he took yeast. So generally, yeast is used as a nutrient medium for the growth of microorganisms, or you can call it to be a broth. So this yeast was actually boiled. It was heated so that any living matter inside that can be killed, or you can say that for the experiment he used killed yeast. Why killed yeast was used? Mainly to sterilize it. Okay, so that no living organisms or microorganisms are present in that broth. Okay, so this was the nutrient medium or the nutrient broth taken for the experiment. Now next what he did was that this neck of it was heated, the flask neck was heated to give it an S-shaped curvature. So he made that flask into an S-shaped curvature. So now this was called as the swan neck. Because of that S shape, it was called as the swan necked flask. Okay. Now the advantage of using this swan necked flask, what was it? Is that here you can see that the because of this curvature here, it has a very narrow opening. So this let only the air to pass through inside the flask. Any microorganisms from outside, they could not enter the flask easily because the opening was very narrow. Yes, if at all they entered inside, they would be trapped here itself. So the microorganisms could not enter into the flask. And another thing was that any new organisms produced here, they could not go outside. Nothing could be passed outside the flask and nothing could enter the flask except the air. Okay, so that is why he took this S-shaped flask. Okay, so because of this, the experiment was called as swan neck experiment. Now, this nutrient medium, when it was kept intact, that is when that S-shaped curvature of the flask was kept intact, he could not find any growth of microorganisms. He took killed yeast, then he kept it intact. There was no growth of microbes inside it. So why there was no growth? Because the broth was boiled. So all the microorganisms were killed inside the broth. So he said that as there was no life present inside the broth, no new organisms could arise. Got it? As the broth was boiled, it was killed, it was sterilized, there were no organisms present inside it, so they could not give rise to any new organisms. Okay, but later what he did was that the neck of the flask was broken. So the neck of the flask was broken, so now that flask had a wide opening here. Yes, so now inside that he could see the growth of the microbes. So remember, when the neck of the flask was broken, the flask was open now, exposed to air. So now he could find the growth of microorganisms inside it. So what did he infer? He said that life originated from pre-existing life. How? Because as the flask was open, exposed to air, organisms, microorganisms from the outer atmosphere entered into the nutrient broth. So these organisms itself, they gave rise to new life here. They gave rise to new microorganisms here. So he could say that life originated from pre-existing life. So this was called as the theory of biogenesis. Okay, is it clear? So what he showed, what did the swan neck flask experiment show? That Louis Pasteur, he took a round bottomed flask with an S-shaped, with the neck having an S-shaped curvature. He boiled the yeast or the nutrient medium, and when he could see that there was no growth of microorganisms. But when the neck was broken, when the broth was exposed to atmosphere, he could find the growth of microorganisms inside it. Yes, so this is the theory of biogenesis. Okay, so you have studied the various theories of origin of life. So this theory of special creation, cosmozoic theory, abiogenesis, all these were completely disproved as they did not have any scientific evidence. But biogenesis was considered with some drawbacks of it, that it could not explain the origin of first life. Okay, yes, thank you students. We'll continue in the next module.